think more and more people are wanting to have that in-store experience and support local. I think there's a big emphasis on supporting local. A lot of people can get caught up and shop on those, cheaper shopping online platforms and maybe trying to reduce their costs in that sense. I just don't think that there's a place for that. I think that's what's killing a lot of small businesses, but I just don't think, your people, our customer will always support us. There's always going to be a product out there for, our community.
Hello and welcome. I'm Elizabeth Formosa, the founder of Fashion Equipped, a Melbourne-based strategic growth advisory working with clients globally. On this podcast, I sit down with fashion founders, industry leaders and innovators, all who are shaping the future of fashion. We explore what it really takes to build and scale dynamic, profitable and resilient fashion businesses in a complex and competitive landscape. We go deep into leadership and mindset, financials, brand, product, sourcing, sales and marketing strategy. And we do not skim over the commercial reality required to grow profitably and sustainably. These are honest conversations grounded in real experience from people who are building, evolving, and growing businesses every day. If you want to refine your strategy, strengthen your structure, lead your business with more clarity, and continue to grow, you're in the right place. Let's do this together. Let's take your fashion business to the next level. Welcome back to Fashion Business Mindset. My guest today is Adella Greenwood, the founder of Grace Willow, a beautifully curated boutique located in Williamstown, Victoria. With more than 2 decades in fashion and retail, Adella has built a thriving multi-brand boutique known for its strong sense of community and its deep connection to the women it serves. Alongside her sister Hannah, she's carefully curated a mix of Australian and international designers, creating a space where confident, expressive women can discover pieces that truly reflect their personal style. Driven by connection and a genuine understanding of their customer, Grace Willow has grown into a much-loved destination, both in-store and online. In this episode, we explore Adella's journey of building an independent retail boutique, the realities of operating on the front line of fashion retail, and how her and her team have navigated 15 years of change in the industry. This conversation is such an important one to have because we need our independent boutiques to thrive. I loved every minute of my time with Adella, and no doubt you will too. So let's dive in. Adella, welcome to the Fashion Business Mindset podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I cannot wait to dive into all things Grace Willow today. So let's wind back the clock. I would love to invite you to take us way back to 2012 when Grace Willow began. And I'd love to know what your original vision was. So your business partner, Hannah, what was your vision when you started the boutique way back in 2012?
I know it's a long time ago. I'm like, let's go all those years back. It feels like a lifetime, but it also feels like yesterday. So I was 26 at the time. Hannah was a baby. She was actually 19. So I feel like I'm 40 today. Yeah, grown up almost with the business. So I'd worked in retail pretty much since I was 14. So retail, fashion retail, it's all I really knew and breathed. Our family, my mum was in fashion retail. So we actually started the business together. So mum was involved and myself and Hannah sort of came in as like a default player and never left. So I'll get into that a little bit later. But I was living in the Yarra Valley at the time actually. So we were working, both mum and I, in other boutiques and for other businesses and sort of working our butts off and doing really well, and could see the potential in bricks and mortar and just loved it. We loved retail. So mum's like, we need to do this for ourselves. And we did it. We decided Williamstown, there was a gap in the market at the time. I feel like this was before online had really sort of taken off as well. So women were still shopping like it was busy in store. And we opened in August 2012. And I remember we were in there ripping up the carpets. Like we literally did everything ourselves. We had this budget to sort of work towards. And I think when we opened, like opening weekend, we had like $400 literally left in the account. So that was after like stocking the shop, fitting it out, and it was sort of sink or swim, and there was just no other option. Like we were doing it. So yeah, it worked. I remember opening on the Saturday and I thought, oh my God, people are here. It's happening. And yeah, it's, I guess, evolved since.
Amazing. I love hearing the raw and real, the $400 in the account. Anyone tuning in who's got some cash flow challenges right now, you can turn it around. Tell us a little bit more about your experience in retail before and your mum. I didn't realise your mum had been involved in the whole vision and getting things started. What was the experience? Because I know that a lot of people do go into retail coming from other industries into fashion retail, and they might have been a hairdresser, a doctor, a lawyer, and then all of a sudden they've got this, desire to get into fashion retail. And of course, it's not for the faint-hearted. There's a lot to learn along the way. What experience did you bring in those early days that you think has served you well? And we're going to go into what you've learned along the way shortly.
Absolutely. Look, I feel like it's come really naturally to myself. I know mum as well. It's a really natural, I guess, we just hold it naturally. We love retail. We love people and just engaging and having that one-on-one sort of experience with your client in store it's just evolved, and fashion retail was all I really knew. So since I was 14, I was working still at school and working in retail casually. There was a few times there where I ditched school to actually go and work in retail. It was, I just grew up really knowing no different. So 25 years and I still love it. Can't imagine doing anything else.
Love it. It's in your DNA then. All right.
In our DNA, yes. Yeah.
So from that $400 in the bank when you started, how did you turn it around in those early days? Like what were those first few months even like, thinking, oh gosh, we've got to get the cash in the door. We've got to build up a loyal customer base. We've got to have the right product, the right prices. There's so much to consider. What was that trajectory like? Was it like tough for 6 months, 12 months, or was it kind of...
It took a lot of discipline, Elizabeth. Like it was certainly everything that we were making was going back into the business. So cash flow obviously was key because we needed that to be able to continue buying stock, to continue operating, to paying ourselves a wage wasn't even an option in those early days. Like it really took a long time to sort of get there. And that's sort of got to be your priority, is putting back and feeding the business in order to grow.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. So let's wind back to your vision then in those early days. Has your definition of what success looks like changed over time, over 10 years into this?
I think so, because I think that's just obviously also been natural growth with, I guess, me changing too. Like I've grown up, like I said before, with the business. So, as the years go by, you look at it more seriously too. And I guess your vision and your long-term goal sort of evolves naturally too in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about Grace and Willow as it is today. You have a beautifully curated store. You've got just inspiring brands, and it's a beautiful experience. It's a nice blend of your clothing and your accessories, and right down to candles and incense and all the things. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about the ethos behind the beautiful curated brands that you have in store. How do you decide which brands earn a place in Grace and Willow each season? Because there's only so much space in physical retail versus online, which we're going to speak to. But how do you decide which brands earn a place on the floor?
It's literally just led by heart and gut, I guess. Like it's that initial wow factor when I do my buying. I'd love to say there's a formula, and I'm sure there's people out there that are way more calculated when it comes to this, but I've always done the buying, and I've got a great eye for it, and I buy knowing obviously our customer, but I buy on that initial, I guess, emotional connection. When I do go and do my buying, actually, a lot of the agencies will be like, you're quick, you're in and out, but I don't need to see, I guess, every piece sort of held up, and, that collection as a whole, you're drawn to something, you go to it, and you've just got to go with that initial gut. And I guess that reflects in store when the stock finally arrives and it's on display. I think that our customers almost buy in that same sort of way, that same pattern, because it's that wow factor. So emotional connection, I'd say, to the clothing.
What does that emotional connection look like? Are you walking in and you're like, oh my gosh, the aesthetic of this brand is just unbelievable? Or you can just spot the key silhouettes just based on what you know works for your customer? Or is it that you love print, you love color? What, just for the brands out there who might want to come and approach you one day, it's like,
Absolutely. I mean, I'll list some of our brands soon,
yeah,
but color, if you've ever been into the store or even jumped on our Instagram, we love color. It's very rare that we ever, delve into neutrals or blacks, which can be really difficult when it comes to merchandising because you're just sort of flooded with print and color, but print and color is what we're about. And we sort of always have been from day dot. We've really always just lavished in the excitement of color. So there's definitely a place for black, and I do love a good black number, but the brands that we also stock to, I think they're just it's a creativity and color and joy, just joy in clothing, which I think people are more hungry for these days too, and they're buying into those pieces that I guess they see, they try on, they love, and they have to have. So I can justify buying a piece like that too if you've got that sort of emotional connection to the item.
yeah. I definitely see that in your store. It's always high vibe. It's like you're not sure where to look first because you're like, oh my God, look at that. And there's always something new. So I can definitely see that ethos coming through. And it does create just a lovely experience, like an exciting experience every time you walk in. Tell us about the difference between buying directly with a brand, if you're still doing that, and then working with agencies. I'd love for our listeners just to get a little bit of a feel on the different dynamics behind the methodology of buying. As much as you're buying intuitively, there's some structure and processes that go into it. Have you had long-term relationships with certain sales agents? Are there certain brands that you just will always buy direct for and that's worked for you? What does it look like?
Majority of our brands, it's probably half and half, and I think they work quite similarly. I mean, a lot of our brands are represented by beautiful agencies. We stock more and more international brands as well these days. We've got a great mix of both Australian and international brands, but they're generally represented by an agency. So whether we're going out physically to our agency, whether I'm jumping on a plane and flying up to Sydney to see brands such as LMA direct, they'll take you through a collection. And I guess, the dealings are really similar. I wouldn't say that there was much difference. However, there's brands that we've stocked for a very long time, and we nurture those relationships just as much as I'm sure that they nurture those relationships too. And I find that I think if the brand or that agency really respects you and wants you to grow and is there to support you, we will do the same. I feel like it's a foundation in a relationship that is obviously long term, and we look at it like a long term partnership as well. Some of our brands we've stocked for years and years on end. Sometimes there might be brands that I guess we've either grown out of or it no longer sort of serves us too. So we try and change all the time. We've always got new brands coming in too, and we like to make sure there's something exciting and new in the space.
Yeah, I love it. Let's talk about that newness because we're going into new season. What can customers expect to see when they come into the store over the next few weeks and months? The brands, the trends, is there anything that you can share that a bit of you heard it here first, what's in the pipeline?
Totally. Look, we're obviously entering our fall or our autumn at the moment. Our summer in Melbourne tends to now go till May. So we've always got something in store that's going to serve a warmer climate too. And I think being with our international brands, they're obviously working against season to season, which is kind of almost matched up. So it's actually worked out quite well with our summer sort of going to May. So autumn, you can still expect to see beautiful, colors and designs. I guess LMA, again, beautiful example. Summy, Binny, and then of course you've got more of your classic sort of Victoria and Woods, which will always do your great coats and pieces like that. Lots of suede. Suede's not going anywhere this season. We've got some beautiful sort of suede trench coats coming in. Lots of leopard, actually not leopard print, fawn print, which is the new leopard print.
Thanks.
So you heard that here first. Never
Love
Fully
it.
Dressed, which is an amazing brand from London. We're really excited to be stocking that. So our
Wow.
first shop is up online at the moment, but there's this epic form print which I'm all over. Just had to order more stock because it sold out really quickly. So
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. I love that. You've got some amazing iconic brands that you are stocking in your store. For any
Thank you.
retailers tuning in that are maybe at the beginning of their journey or just a year or two in, what's the process like to be able to work your way up to be in a position for these brands to give you the yes to actually be stocked? Because it's a mutual, as much as you're assessing them, they're assessing you as well. It's got to be a great fit. You mentioned relationship earlier, which is so important. What do you have to do as a retailer to be able to become a stockist of those types of brands?
I mean, there's lots of different sort of areas and grey areas here too, because a lot of the brands will offer exclusivity to your zoning or your area as well. So that
Mm,
can be challenging for some stores, I guess, if there's an existing retailer who's already quite established or has some of those really fantastic brands you might be lusting after. I guess sort of popping something together, whether that be an email or jumping on a phone call and introducing yourself to your supplier or the brand. So even popping together your own little sort of brand sort of bio or personal, an email, just sort of a little note about your store and your aesthetics and what you're about or how long you've been established for, and even sort of a list of brands that you do already currently stock so that that brand can see themselves either sitting next to these like-minded brands or aligned with
yeah.
other brands.
Yeah. What kind of percentage of newness do you bring in each season? Because I really want to ask you, what tells you that your season has been commercially successful, right? Everyone's got their key metrics, obviously sell through, it could be profitability, what you've had to mark down, what you haven't, and so forth. But when you're bringing in newness, because you've got some brands that you've mentioned that no doubt are successful time and time again and most likely selling out. So you know that they're a sure bet in terms of ROI. But there's also new emerging brands or perhaps other brands that are now on a growth trajectory. Like you've mentioned, Never Fully Dressed. You've noticed, what that's been doing in the market. And you're like, I've got to have that brand. My customers are
Yes.
going to love it. But it is a risk. There's a level of risk bringing in newness. Are you like, 80% brands that have been proven in your business and you leave about 20% of your open to buy to explore newness? Like, what does the weighting kind of look like at the moment based on, it's a very competitive landscape. There's a lot going on from a, economic perspective and so forth. So it's not the time to be taking huge risks, but what is your risk appetite around newness in the business?
Look, I think sometimes taking risks, even when it's uncharted waters, is always it can pay off, because I think if you sort of sit and you don't take those risks, then there's obviously more risk of the water's going stale as well and stagnant. So for us, I feel like you've always got to trust your gut. You know your brand, you know your people, and just try not to worry too much about the outside noise. And when we do our buying, we're buying obviously sometimes 6 months in advance, 12 months in advance too. That can be a little bit scary when it is uncharted waters. And I guess given the current sort of cost of living crisis that we're in, but women are always going to shop. It's not all doom and gloom. You've got to just keep doing what you're doing as well. And yeah, I think that if you just back yourself and know your customer, yeah, and just know your brand and what works for you.
Yeah, I love that. It's the connection with customer, as you said, knowing exactly what it is they like and they want or they might need. So I guess over a journey, you're innately connected with that, and that gives you more confidence. Even though you're going into the unknown, there's newness. It does give you more confidence to make a fully informed decision before entering into that.
Absolutely. And I do think, obviously, in terms of bringing on new product, we're always bringing something new and exciting into the boutique, because I think that not only do the customers respond to that, the staff resonate with that too. They're excited to be there. They're excited to handle and on sell that product. And it creates conversation. There's those conversational pieces. And like I said, obviously leaning into that international market too, where these pieces have come from and the journey that it took for them to get here and how they were made. And I think that all holds space in our store, unlike, some other boutiques that might stick to the same sort of calculational process, and things might start to look the same too. So people are coming in and they're looking for new product as well. They'll often say, what's new, what's coming in this week? We've got regular customers that are in each week, and they're obviously there to see what's new. So they know our product, and I guess they know that we do bring in new product regularly too. So they expect that from us.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's the beauty of shopping at your local boutique. Independent boutiques are looking at doing things differently. It's a curated selection. It's not homogenized like if you're going into, a department store or anything. It's a totally different experience. And
That's right.
I think when you are the customer, you know that, if you're a local in particular, that, those ranges are being kind of curated with you in mind. If you've been a loyal shopper over the years, it's basically been
Exactly.
curated with you in mind, which is a pretty cool way to shop.
And
Now,
sometimes you can get that wrong. Sorry. I mean, you
yeah,
can either under order or over order. We try and keep it somewhere in the middle and just look, if it's a really successful season, we know we can then invest back into that brand for the following order or the following place, or jump on and do another reorder. So there's lots of platforms that make that really simple now too. And it's much easier than sometimes waiting, 6 months again for your next stock to come through. So
yeah.
it's more quicker. You can sort of test the waters as well with a lot of, some of these sort of brands, and then back them again, I guess, your next sort of collection.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned platforms. Is this like a buying platform that you're talking
We've
about?
got Fair that we do a lot of our, say, on our shelving sort of products. So whether that be homewares, jewelry, we import a lot of our own jewelry where we go sort of straight to the source. We have a really great time with our accessories. Accessories are a one size fits all. I feel like they have a little bit of a longer shelf life. We have a really great time in the sort of accessory category as well. So, and we can import our own sort of stock, and it can come sometimes quicker from overseas than it can interstate from from another
Yeah,
brand. So
yeah. Are you looking at doubling down on the Grace and Willow brand? Like, will you be expanding that in terms of its presence on the floor across your clothing and your accessories?
definitely in the jewelry and accessory category, yes. Really sort of leaning harder into this field. It's a one size fits all. And I just think that, I feel like accessorizing has become such a huge part of everyday dressing too.
Yeah.
We have dabbled before in clothing. I just find that without a design background myself, we were doing everything in-house. It's a much bigger outlay too. We've got it right sometimes. Sometimes that can be a little bit harder, and you can get that wrong, and you're just buying in such bigger quantities too, and there's lots of logistics involved there, like warehouse storing, etc. So who knows, never say never, but at this stage we're having a great time in the accessories category.
Yeah, I can definitely relate there. Worked with retailers on and off over the years who've wanted to do their own private label. And it does sound amazing. You think, oh my gosh, incremental margin, all the good things, but it can be a little bit of a false economy. As you said, if you've got to pay a designer, you got to pay someone to manage the production, and you have to buy more quantities. There's a whole host of output and a level of risk that comes with that. It can work. It can absolutely be an amazing, additional revenue stream to a business, but it's almost like another area of the business that you've got to fully resource up to make it work. So I can see what you're saying around, the accessories making complete sense. And plus you've also got, you're not kind of starved for amazing brands that you have available to you based on your stage of retail. You're able to attract a lot of the amazing brands to be able to curate those and have those available, which is a great position to be in. Let's talk about the competitive landscape. Let's kind of switch to the commercial side for a minute, because I work a lot on the brand side. So I've got both hats on today. So many of the brands that you stock are available through retailers that, are larger, whether that's department stores, or they might even have their own stores, or obviously significant online platforms that, have been perhaps going for years and years. How do you work within that competitive retail landscape as an independent boutique?
That's a great question. I do believe, there's lots of our brands that have their own standalone retail stores, and some people might think, why would you, stock a brand that you can probably, in the CBD, they might have their own standalone store and shop there. But I do think that it comes down to two things. I think we sometimes have very different stock that's offered for wholesale as well as their stores. I do get a lot of comments saying, oh, I didn't actually see this in, Victorian Woods, or I didn't see this on their website. So I feel like sometimes they might offer things exclusively for wholesale as well, and we might have different stock. And it can also just come down to the experience in store as well. So even versus online, you might find some larger retailers that are stocking a wider range of our brands too. But I think it just comes down to that experience, the customer service in store, and just, I think we go above and beyond for every single person that does walk in the door. You're offered a drink. It's a one-on-one sort of, you can spend up to an hour, if not longer sometimes, and form these really great relationships. Sometimes some businesses can fall short there, whether they have staff that are inexperienced or it can be a number of different things. But I do think having our long-term experience definitely, and that amazing customer service keeps bringing our clients back in.
I love that because, as you said, it's all about the experience. It's that time, it's that moment in time where they're in the store, they're having a great experience. They may not look at that Vic and Woods top and go, hang on a minute, I'll just go and see if it's on sale anywhere else. It's just like, no, I've just had a great experience. I'll take that before it goes, and it's local. You're not having to drive. Obviously, you can jump online and, everything's at our fingertips these days. But I like what you said, Adella, about the exclusivity. And I guess for bigger brands, that's obviously possible to be able to offer their independent retail partners exclusive, ranges, which is fantastic for a brand to be at that stage and be able to do it. But it sounds like it's not a price sensitive situation that you're under in your boutique. Or do you always have your eye on what the Iconic is doing or what the brand is doing from a sale or a promotional perspective? Or are you just working your boutique, your local community, and that's what gets your focus?
It would definitely be the later. So you can get so caught up, I think, in looking what everybody else is doing. There's always going to be so much noise out there, whether that involves, big sales such as Black Friday. We actually, set that out last year. We very rarely do sales. I think that we buy, quite bespoke, and our offerings can be smaller in some indent ranges. And that stock is there. It serves a purpose. It's not there to be heavily reduced or quickly reduced due to feeling the pressures, that's surrounding us. Because I think there's always going to be a sale on somewhere. Or learn to, if you reduce your product too often, if you go on sale too often, people notice that too. So I think it can almost diminish your brand a little bit there as well. And if it's not necessarily, people will come to expect that. I just don't think if it's always necessary. Definitely, sales can serve a purpose, whether that's a great Boxing Day sale. We once a year do a really fun, like our warehouse sort of courtyard sale, where we'll just do one day. It's on a Saturday. We have it at the back of the shop. We've got a big courtyard space, and we just have a really fun day, and the community gets around us and everyone comes and visits, and hopefully can grab a bargain or a special piece. But sales is just not really our style. Yes, in saying that, we have often, sometimes participated in a sale, but it's just not, I think, for the way that our products aligned. It just doesn't really work for the nature of our business.
I love that. Sounds like your ethos is not focused on competing on price. It's competing on the actual in-store experience and making sure that every single customer is looked after and they walk out and they want to come back for the next thing. And I think that is pretty powerful, because I do see a lot of talk and especially being on the brand side, sometimes we'll get feedback that, you've had a couple of sales and that's really diluted some of the in-store experience for some of the retailers. And you totally understand it, but sometimes it's the commercial reality of also being a direct-to-consumer brand and a wholesale brand. You've got to really balance both channels. And of course, any brand that is building an actual brand and not just selling product at a price is very conscious of that. And everything that you just said, you don't want to get into that sale cycle because it's a hard one to get out of. But of course, as businesses, inventory is real, and there's got to be key times of the year that you need those to be able to move through your inventory and be in a position to bring in the newness for your beautiful customers and so forth. But right. I love that.
Place, I think, but I just feel that, with our sort of inventory levels as well, being again bespoke, you can shoot yourself in the foot sometimes by doing them too often, because clients will then expect and they'll sort of hold out or wait for the next sales. So it can be, I guess, a double-edged sword in that sense too. So
yeah. Absolutely. I'd love for you to share how you balance the in-store experience with the growth of your online store and also your social media presence. I've seen your social media presence go to the next level and I always find it engaging and entertaining. But what does the online business look like for you over the years and where is it at now and what would we expect to see next online?
We launched our online in 2014, and again, I think it was still quite up and coming. Believe it or not, I think when we first opened the store, online just still wasn't. People just did like it was slowly building, but it just wasn't what it is today. So, and obviously today it's such a beast, and I guess we look at our online and our in-store. Obviously, they're really closely linked up, but they almost have to be treated like two separate businesses as well. I would say that our online would probably be about 20-30% of our business, as opposed to sort of 70-80 that's still in our bricks and mortar. And this is definitely swayed over the years. I think coming out of those sort of COVID years in 2020, our online sort of just, even prior to that, had really taken off. It was all hands on deck. We were frantically packing orders from a safe distance and sort of working with that and navigating that space. But then obviously having reopened, it was, flipped again where our bricks and mortar sort of had fluctuated. So they definitely do fluctuate. And we look at our online store like an extension sort of platform of our bricks and mortar.
Yeah. And do you have a goal to grow that, Adella? So 20 to 30%, are you thinking, I'd love for that to be sitting at 40% one day? Like, do you have a growth trajectory in mind for online?
Yes, like we are working closely with a digital marketer. We use the digital picnic to do some of our meta ads. This sort of, the meta, that's like a whole new universe that goes a little bit over my head, and I'm trying to teach myself. I log on to the business center and I am learning more. It's definitely a little bit of foreign territory to me. I'm old school in the sense that being in store is sort of where I know best, and being hands-on and touching things with technology. We definitely there's growth there, and I think that people don't understand how much goes into running an online store too. So that's everything's done at our boutique. We pack out the back. It's the girls are sort of going between the storefront and also being able to pack and do all of the orders. So it's the EDMs, it's the get the data that you've got to obtain. Like there's just so much competition there online too, and definitely for us it's navigating the energy it takes to put in and build that online business too. Like we're a very small team, family run. Hannah and myself are both mothers, so between us there's 5 little ones. I've got 2, my daughter's 5 and my son's 3. Like it's working at night. You've got to be prepared, I think, to put in the hours for online. People often think that's sort of the space that you've got to be in, but it's difficult. It's not as easy as what I think people think, and there's so much competition there online too. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's only so many hours in the day, and as you said, it's like running 2 businesses. It's not like a set and forget just because it's an extension of your store. It's absolutely not that. But I love that you're working with the Digital Picnic. I think that they're just a great agency. They've got that nice blend of being able to help manage things for you, but also the education. I think the education that they put out, because I think in online is just, there's always so much to learn, right? Even if you think you know it all, there's always something new coming out. Meta's changing, there's a new app, there's all of AI powering so many things. So I think keeping up to date, even if you're going to outsource some of that, if you've got a media buyer to look after your ads or whatever that might be, empowering yourself with the knowledge can be just a sound business practice, so that you know what other people are actually doing for you and you're able to manage that more efficiently. And you have to be a content generating machine for online. You've just got to have that constant content coming through. So I love what you're saying. It's like, okay, one step at a time. And as you said, you've got young families, so there's only so much you can do, and you don't want to dilute the in-store experience as well.
Absolutely.
But with what's on offer online, Adella, is it a curated range? Is it, how do you decide what goes up online? Is it basically everything that's in your store? Or is it like, no, if we've bought some depth of something, we'll put that online, but, or it's got to fit a certain criteria to make it online? What's that like?
Most of our product will go online. So whether we buy, back a few styles or go heavier on certain products so that we can have some set aside and I guess that's allocated for our online store. But because again, we're buying boutique brands, we are bespoke, we can have that offering and we are able to sort of manage that quite easily in store. Everything's done. Our head office as such is located sort of at the same space. So it's quite easy for us to be across and be able to offer that product for both online and in store. And we often find people will use our online as like a catalog. So a lot of customers will come in and refer, have you got this? We've seen it online too. So it is almost like, a great catalog or lookbook as such too. So it's really important, I think, to try and keep that current and relevant and make sure that's getting updated all the time, whether that's every day or every couple of days, but we're loading new product onto that storefront every day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I love that, the catalog, because I do that myself with local boutiques. I will jump on just to see what's new.
Yes,
And it's like, hey, should I go in now? Should I wait a couple of weeks? What's
that's right.
dropped, what's landed?
Yes. And I
Yeah.
think if it's not updated sort of regularly, then it's like, okay, nothing new's come in. Like it's important that you're sort of refreshing and keeping that site current.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you go about creating the content? So, based on what you get supplied from brands in terms of
Yes.
perhaps e-com images and so forth versus what you've got to create, because I see obviously you're creating content for your own socials. What does that look like? Because as you said, you're a lean team and there's a lot to juggle there. Like, how are you kind of creating your content? You're batching it. I think you'd mentioned you were using a studio at one point.
Yeah, we're actually out to the studio in a couple of weeks as a big like staff sort of day out. So we'll do a half a day in the studio and just go and we'll do sort of batch content in that sense. For us, batch content, like we can do it and then we can sell through that stock really quickly. And then if we've created content, it might not have a long shelf life. So for us, it's very organic and it might be on the fly. We've just received this, let's shoot this. So it's all sort of, I guess, done in real time, generally in store by myself and by the staff. Everything we put out is our own content. That takes time to create. If the brands can't supply imagery, which most of them will provide really great imagery because we've got some amazing, beautiful brands that have that to hand over to you. We will shoot it ourselves. So just so that we sort of can get it online and, people know that that product's available.
How does the team feel about getting in front of the camera? I'm going to ask you to introduce the team in a minute because none of us can do any of this alone.
Yes.
But how has that evolved over time? Because I see the girls doing an amazing job. But was it like that from the beginning, or they're like, oh, I don't want to be on camera? Because
We're all very comfortable around each other and no one takes it too seriously. I think if you take it too seriously, it won't, it's you're never gonna pull it off naturally. Of course, there's so many bloopers and so many laughs, but we make sure that everybody does feel comfortable. And if you didn't want to participate in that, that would be fine too. But it all comes with, I guess, the girls. I've seen most of our girls have been with us really long time, and I've seen some of the girls come in as young with, a little bit of experience, but then like where they were from day dot when we sort of had handed them the camera and they're like, okay, to where they've come now where they're just so confident to be able to just get on and it becomes second nature, I guess, too.
Yeah.
So I love to be behind the camera. But yeah, you've got to put yourself out there, I think, too. So if you don't put yourself out there and you don't sort of show up as your true brand and who you are, then I think people can relate to that more.
yeah, definitely very relatable, very authentic. The content you put out always stops me scrolling, that's for sure. So you're doing an amazing job. I'd love for you to share who's on the team. So who, when the customers walk in for this amazing experience, who's on the team, what are their roles, and how long have the girls been with you?
So we've got obviously Hannah, my sister, my business partner, and myself. Mum, who I mentioned earlier, is no longer on the shop floor. So she's living on her farm in the Yarra Valley. So she's on grandparent duty. She's always either got my sister's kids or my brother's kids, and she's doing her thing. So we've got myself and Han. We are there sort of 2 shifts in the night. I try and get into the store at least a couple times a week just to be able to be on the shop floor and obviously just know the product and know what the customers are enjoying. But then I do spend a couple of days working from home, usually at night once my kids are in bed. We've got our gorgeous Karen, who I'm sure you see all over our socials. As a stylist, she's amazing in store. Keely and Shara, who are full-time. We've got 2 casuals, and yeah, the girls are all amazing. Look, everybody gets in there and we just all pull our weight, and it's a fun team. Everybody helps each other out. We all step up when we need to. No day's the same. You're obviously either on the shop floor, or we're uploading stock online, or we're packing orders, or it's different every day, but the team's amazing. We're really fortunate to have a great team. And I think being local, their faces and our clients get to know everybody's names, and we know our clients' names, and it becomes sort of like those friendships are formed. And
I love that. How would you describe your leadership style and the culture that you've created in your boutique?
Look, Hannah and I are very supportive. With our girls, we've nurtured from the start. Yes, we throw you in the deep end as such, but they've come from, whether that be sort of more digital backgrounds, or they haven't worked in retail for 20 odd years and all these brands are new to them. There's lots of brand training, whether the origin of the brand and learning the fabrications, and sort of training them in a sense where they'll have that confidence, I guess, to know the product really well. And therefore, I feel like the rest of it just comes really naturally. Yes, there's an extent of training, but I think they're learning everything on the job. And yeah, we're just a supportive team. Hannah and I are such yes people, like whatever the girls need. Yeah, I think they're nurtured really well, and probably credit to why we've had such long-standing staff. Our last manager was with us for 10 years. So she started when she was 19, and I think sort of 10 years on, she was like, I need to change. Otherwise she goes, I'm going to be here forever. But we've got a great sort of team dynamic.
Yeah, I love that. And is there any formal training? So are you just doing training in store, on the go, or at the beginning of each season? Is there any kind of like sit down, all right, we're going to go through all of the ranges that are coming in, any newness around the brands, or is it pretty organic and fluid the way that plays out?
Most of it is organic and fluid, because I just feel like that's the best way to learn. So on the job, and then the product like at the back of your hand. So I think when stock's coming in, it's the opening of the stock, it's the steaming the stock, it's the touching, getting the stock out on the floor. I think that's the best learnings. And I feel like obviously being on the shop floor and having your dealings with your clients and your customers, it only builds more and more confidence with the stuff. That's just, in my opinion, the best way to learn is just raw and on the job. Formal training is always great. Some of our brands will always offer like brand education or awareness too, if needed, but I definitely think you're learning the most on the job.
Yeah. Makes complete sense, especially a lean team. And as you said, that really is in line with your leadership style as well. So, and it's obviously working. It's working. You've got the secret sauce happening, which is great. You're still here and going strong. Adella, if I was to ask you to take the pulse of what's happening at retail as we sit here, early March 2026, what would your diagnosis be, and where do you see the rest of the year going from a retail perspective based on the economic challenges that we're facing?
It's definitely, I think a lot of people, when they talk about retail, and I think a lot of industries in this current sort of economic, cost of living crisis, a lot of people can go all in and doom and gloom. I do think there's always going to be a market and a space for retailers. I think more and more people are wanting to have that in-store experience and support local. I think there's a big emphasis on supporting local. A lot of people can get caught up and shop on those, cheaper shopping online platforms and maybe trying to reduce their costs in that sense. I just don't think that there's a place for that. I think that's what's killing a lot of small businesses, but I just don't think, your people, our customer will always support us. There's always going to be a product out there for, our community. And I just think women will always find a way to spend as well. We're all shoppers, and the events, there's still events happening. People need outfits for events. We want to feel good. And I do think that even if it's coming in store sometimes and just buying yourself a candle, people, whether it's a smaller budget or a larger budget, people are still spending. Like, I don't think that it's all doom and gloom. So
good news for all of our listeners at the moment. I love that. I love the optimism. And like you said, sometimes we can kind of, there's so much coming at us with what's going on in the world right now, but we've got to get back to the reality of the ecosystem we're living within. And as you said, your customers, they're always going to have events. There's always going to be something that they need. They may be shopping more wisely, but they're still shopping. And
that's
obviously
right.
your customers appreciate good quality product, amazing brands. They're investment pieces, so
Totally.
they're not particularly shopping on price. I guess if they were, they wouldn't be coming to you, right? So
Well, that's
it's
right.
it's not, you're not coming to you for, fast fashion. You're essentially coming for your beautiful, special occasion, or even really nice tailored pieces, all of those things. Like, it's really an investment in, great brands, great quality at really still amazing prices.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, amazing. All right, now Adele, I'd like to shine the light on you now. Just it's all intertwined, obviously, with the business and the boutique. But you're working on the front line of retail, not for the faint-hearted. You're also raising a young family, and
Yes.
you've got an enormous amount of responsibility across business and life in general. And that takes a lot of energy and, I would say, a high level of organization. I'd love for you to share what habits, routines, or non negotiables help you to stay energized and grounded and work and operate at such a high level.
I was actually waiting for this question because I feel like this is a space I need to get so much better at. Definitely being organized is key. I mean, this morning was like just a scramble to get out of the house with young kids. It's just, I feel like it's like 2 hours of absolute chaos. So there is lots of chaos behind the scenes, but it's organized chaos.
Mm.
For me, it won't be forever, but I do work at night a lot, and I just find at night is it's quiet. The children are in bed. As much as I love my kids, it's just like they go to bed, and you've got that time to be able to just hone in and or read a book. I actually have gotten a bad habit. I don't know if it's a good habit or a bad habit of listening to a podcast just before I go to sleep, but I mean it's better than scrolling. I've been stylish. I don't know if you know of the stylish podcast, which is a
I
good
love it.
one. Your podcast, actually, Elizabeth. I've listened to most of your episodes. I love your podcast, and yeah, just I guess with having little kids, it's pretty hectic. But trying to even take a moment, carve a moment out for yourself, even if that's a walk or just a minute to yourself
Yeah.
each day.
I love it. And I think there's different seasons of life, right? And
Absolutely.
during those different seasons, we've all got different time that's available.
Getting up in the early in the morning, having a coffee to
Yeah.
yourself for 5 minutes. That's my little secret.
And have you ever worked with a mentor, or is there just someone in your world that organically mentors you? Because, as a founder and a co-founder of a
Yes.
business and doing everything you do, you hold a lot up. You're holding the business up, you're holding your team up, the cash flow, the product, there's a lot
Yeah.
going on, obviously, and then you have your family. So who holds you up?
You know what? My partner Paul, he is in small business too. So he's got a hair salon in Carlton. It's called Organica. It's a beautiful business. I've been there 20 odd years with his business partner Sarah. But we're really, I think, unique in the sense that we're two business owners. So he gets it. He really does get it, and vice versa. So it's really nice to be able to sort of bounce, even though we're in slightly different niches, to be able to have someone at the end of the day that understands what you're going through too. We always say to the kids, you like go and get a law degree or something. It's like don't get into small business, because it's just like, yeah, we're both hard workers, but I think that it is nice to have someone that can really relate to you. In terms of mentorship, I haven't, like, I feel like I'm really just guided by my own intuition, and yeah, I just find my own inspiration, whether that's on Pinterest, or I just have, I think, a really good keen eye, and you
Mm.
sort of just got to put your head down sometimes and do I just, yeah, a mentorship as such, not really a thing, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And you've
just
got your
really
mum and your sister around you as well. So I guess there's the
totally.
three of you. It's not like you're out on an island on your own. Like, you have a close knit, and you also have a close knit team, obviously, that supports the day to day. So,
It's
um,
nice to be able to bounce things off Hannah. I think we both bring something different to the table as well. And just, yeah, she can pick it up and hold the slack sometimes, and vice versa. So being in business with your family, personally, I love, because I think family's just always going to be there. We're always going to have your back. So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it works really well for us.
I love that. So, looking ahead, Adela, over the next 6 to 12 months, what are you mostly focused on in terms of taking your business to the next level? Will we see any changes, any pivots, anything that you're going to be doing differently, or are you happy with where you're at and it'll be business as usual?
I think you've always got to look forward, and just double down sometimes and look at the brands that are either performing really well or areas of your business, that maybe you do need a little bit of refining or fine tuning. I think you've got to sort of somewhat look into the future. We don't often look back. I think if I did look back a lot, I'd probably think, oh my God, I wouldn't have done that, or I would have done something differently. So I'm definitely looking forward. I think we're having a really great time at the moment with our international brands, and people are just loving that point of difference as well. And I think offering those in along with the service and just really honing in there and nurturing our existing clients. And that's a really personal sort of thing. It's getting on the phone and letting them know what's coming new and just, really nurturing, I guess, our existing clientele too. So,
I love that. And for our listeners who are thinking 10 years in retail, still going strong.
It's 15 years.
15 years.
It's 15, yes.
Why do I keep saying 10? It's 15.
That's all right. It's 15 years.
15 years.
15 years
What do you...
in August.
Wow, congratulations.
We'll have to have a big party.
Absolutely, I'll be there. What do you think has kept you resilient across 15 years in retail?
Resilience I think, is the key word there, because you can get lots of setbacks. You can have deflating days, but I think it's most days are generally really great days, and I still love what I do. I can't really imagine doing anything else. So it's what I know. I live and breathe it. I love it. I love being, there's nothing I love more than being in store on a Saturday. The store's pumping, the clients are coming in, they've got a glass of champagne in their hand, and it's just a vibe. And it's still really that sort of, I feel like that's my sweet spot, and I just love it. So I think we'll be around for hopefully another 15 years.
I hope so too. And from an industry perspective, what excites you most about the future of retail?
People are more willing to be themselves and express themselves. I think that people aren't so fixated anymore on trends, and I guess that's also comes with aging and getting to know who you are as a woman as well. And I just think that there's no limitation as to what it's pushing the boundaries. I think when it comes to fashion, it's expressing you and wearing what you love, and just I guess that's exciting in a sense, because who knows what we'll end up sourcing or finding or getting in, but there's always going to be something different and exciting, and just finding that product or that brand that sort of no other stores have. And that's sort of, I guess, what really pushes me and what I love to sort of find. So I'm excited to source some new brands.
Adella, thank you for joining me today. Congratulations to you, to Hannah, to your mum, the entire team on everything you've achieved. A shout out also to the amazing brand partners who've helped to power Grace and Willow over the journey.
Absolutely.
No doubt this conversation is going to be such an inspiration to many out there, in particular independent retailers that are tuning in. We need our independent retailers to thrive, and so shout out to everyone to shop local wherever you can. We love everything that you do, and it's a bonus your store is local to where I live, and I love popping in and having a little fossick around and always finding something new. It's always really exciting. And the girls,
you're welcome anytime. We love having you in store.
Thank you, Adella. Can't wait to put this out to the world. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Fashion Business Mindset. If this conversation resonated, I'd love to stay connected. At Fashion Equipped, I work as a strategic growth partner to fashion founders and leadership teams, helping them bring clarity to complex decisions, to strengthen structure, and build more profitable, resilient businesses. You can head to fashionequipped.com.au to explore our advisory services and to join the Monthly Edit, a curated monthly briefing sharing industry shifts, strategic thinking, and practical ideas to help you continue to move your business forward. If social is more your space, you'll find us at Instagram at Fashion Equipped and at Fashion Business Mindset. Wherever you are on your journey, my intention is simple: to help you work more strategically, lead more confidently, and build a successful fashion business. If you're enjoying the conversations this season, I invite you to leave a review. This really does help the podcast to reach those that can benefit from it. I'll see you in the next episode.
This is a Guide Your Light Network production, creating podcasts with purpose.